do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
Hello. Hello, Chief. It's me, Max. Hello. Hello. Is there anybody out there? It's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry, folks. You might guess by the look of me. I've been working. I've been doing manly things today. I've been laying turf like a one-armed man can. All right, I didn't lay any turf. I stood there with the hose and wet the turf down and wet the ground down that the turf was going onto. But I was involved in turf laying today. I don't want to emphasize too much how much work I put into it. But there's been that. There's been a whole heap of stuff over the weekend. Big meeting here over the weekend for all the owners. So had to get a few things sorted out for that. And that's why last week was so higgledy-piggledy. I'm sure our guest tonight is going to get into me about that. On Red Alert was first in the house tonight. Howdy. And good to have you in. Only beaten by a fraction of a 15th of a bee's, whatnot, by Aussie Sue. Pipped her at the post, so to speak. Paul Orchard was in at exactly the same time. So I don't know. It's like a three-way between you guys. And then V-Rule has joined at exactly the same time. So there you go. You all deserve a gold medal. Thank you for coming in. And hello to everybody who is joining us this evening. It's going to be a slowly growing list because I guess most people will have forgotten that I exist, given the last few days. I've had some phone issues. That's why I haven't been uploading stuff off the phone. But hopefully today those phone issues are sorted. Hopefully. We shall see. It's been getting hot to a point where it's been turning itself off. So can't afford a new phone. So that's not going to happen. So we'll just make do with the one we've got. Either that or email, and we all know how well that's going. There are a lot of things I'd like to talk about tonight. We probably won't have time to talk about all of them, but there has been, I suppose, a fair bit of interest in the gold market and the silver market and the platinum market of late. Precious metals in general, something to be really investigated. Now, over the weekend, I think the price for an ounce of silver was around 48 and a bit dollars. It's now down to around 47 and a half. Gold has dropped back down to just under $4,100 per ounce. AinsleyBullion.com.au. You can see the spot price anytime, day or night, right there at the front and top of their page when you land on it. And the difference between that is, as I was explaining to somebody today, the difference between the spot price and what you might pay for a coin is, about, it can be quite different depending on the coin that you are purchasing. Now, if you're purchasing a collector coin or something that's been vacuum stamped and pressed and is very shiny and, all that sort of stuff, or you're just buying a straight out of the block minted bar, then, or even just a rough bar, the prices vary. But the spot price, as we call it, is the price of an ounce of whatever you're selling, gold or silver or platinum. That means it doesn't matter how much you paid for it. It doesn't matter if, in this case, it had a spider on it and there was some paintwork and some lovely artwork and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't matter unless you're selling to another collector or somebody who's prepared to pay that premium for that sort of special coin. But a bullion dealer is all about the actual price of the bullion. And in this case, it's the 99.9% or 99.99% grading that pure silver gets. And that's what the spot price is. So it's based on that. So I thought I'd clear that up before we delve into tonight's show, because I have been in contact with some people over the weekend who have been sticking their toe into crypto for the first time. Really about 12 months ago, they got into it, a little over 12 months ago. And we will speak loosely about some of their successes tonight. And I won't identify them in any way, shape, or form, but it was crypto. So when they were ringing me rather excitedly to tell me these things over the weekend, I was excited for them, terribly excited for them, felt a deep pit of despair in my stomach, thinking, why don't I own any of this? And then immediately thought of Vince, because I needed someone to blame. If you're going to blame someone, at least blame the man who's going to wave at you when you do so. Mate, live long and prosper. I hope all goes well. Or nanu. I don't know which way you want to go.
No. Definitely that one, man. Definitely that one.
So the crypto market is a lot of numbers to me, and we all know that numbers and my eyes are a bit like poker machine reels. They just roll around and don't make any sense, and you're never going to win from them in my eyes, or at least if you let me play with them. However, there are people much smarter, much wiser, and with much less hair than me that know a great deal about crypto. So, Vince, I rang you rather excitedly to say, these friends of mine are saying all these wonderful things, and they've made so much money. And so let me just give you a bit of an outline. These people invested in crypto in a self-managed super fund as part of their self-managed super fund. They put about $7,000 in a bit over 12 months ago. And in that 12 months, it had grown to about 20 grand. Yep. Now, last week, it grew to $27,000. And then sometime over the weekend, within, a matter of hours, literally I was speaking, they were telling me about this essentially $27,000 that now the crypto is worth. And I think in the interim, I rang you and had a discussion, and then they rang me back. So let's say an hour and a half at most. And they were excitedly reporting that it had gone up another $3,000.
Yep. All right. That sounds about right. It's the bull market. Right. So in a year's time, hopefully they've been smart enough to move that into gold and silver or something else, because roughly in about a year's time, it's going to do a massive drop. It happens in every 4-year cycle. So
is that your advice? Hang on to it for a year and then sell it?
Roughly, yep. Right, keep an eye on it. There'll be some dips and some dips in it, and then it'll go up even higher and down a bit and then up higher. But it's going to hit a peak somewhere between now and October of next year. And then it's going to do a massive, like it does every 4 years.
It sounds to me like a complete noob whose only experience with a wallet has managed to lock him out of it for no apparent reason. I'm now leaning towards, for what you've just said, I'm now leaning towards the Ainsley crypto wallet, because you can manage the whole lot in one place. Now, trust me, this isn't a paid-for ad or anything like that, folks. Although I do enjoy their support, and thank them deeply for it. However, it's just dawned on me that if you're going to have these crypto, can I call them wins, or this is expected?
It's expected. A lot of the coins and stuff from the older ones, like XRP, for instance, was sitting for ages on 58 cents. It's finally decided to take off, and it's now like $1.48 for per coin now. All right, XLM, Cardano, a lot of the older cryptos, more stable cryptos, have started to take off in this bull run, and that is to be expected. Mind you, anything I say is not financial advice. This is just my experience from playing with it for the last since 2017. So,
and I've never played with it, or at least crypto. And if you were taking financial advice from me, then I've got a bridge in Sydney I'd like you to invest in.
I would suggest, one of the reasons, if anybody's new who's looking to try and capitalize on the market, right, be careful on what you're investing in. But if you are going to invest and you want to keep yourself safe, I'm suggesting Ainsley, because they will help you with the investment. They will then take those cryptocurrencies and store them in what's called a cold wallet. So that means they literally take it offline, so nobody can get at it, nobody can hack your wallet, etc. and so on. It is safe. It is like literally taking your silver and sticking it in the vault, or your gold, right? And that's why I'm suggesting them. I was so pleased to hear they did that.
And given that it is such a volatile up and down kind of thing, and okay, let's say my friends have made $23,000 profit in 12 months. You said at the head of the show you hope they've invested some of that into precious metals. What
Down
sort
the track,
of percent?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, okay. So you expect this to go a lot higher?
Yeah, majorly. Right. There are some estimates that Bitcoin will hit 500,000 before it hits the end of the peak of the bull market. Some say 250. That's American dollars, by the way, not Australian dollars. Right. At the moment, Australian-wise, it's 98,000 American. It's currently 152,000 Australian per coin. So, if it's going to go to 250 American, that's 400,000 Australian. If you happen to have a 1/10 of a Bitcoin, which is about all I have, right? Then basically, I've earned 3,000 on what I've got, and that's only a small amount of Bitcoin. So I might earn another 3 or another 4 before it hits the peak. And if I'm smart enough before the peak or just after the peak, I get out of it and put that in, that amount of earnings that we've made, the extra amount, into something that's more stable, like gold or silver. That's a smart move.
And you have to assume that the Ainsley wallet, the Ainsley crypto wallet, is the easiest way to do that, because you can probably do it through the app and switch your crypto for something that's sitting in their vault already in unallocated stock, or even if you wanted allocated stock.
What you'd have to do is you'd have to get in touch with them, say, look, I need to sell that. They would then go and take it out of the cold wallet storage, put it on the market on an exchange somewhere, sell it, get the cash back in, and then you would convert that cash to gold or silver with Ainsley. Obviously, I would say, they're the guys who have helped look after it all.
Yeah,
and they're brilliant dealers.
So we might get one of the crypto boys back on from Ainsley for a chat, which could be tomorrow. I've got a lot of things I have to arrange tomorrow because Wednesday I'm departing. And
hence the reason you got that as a hand, because it was a stable picture, not the waving one while you were taking a picture. For all of those, you'll have to go back about a year to figure that one out.
So Wednesday, I'm catching up with Vince in Adelaide, and we'll make our way to Echuca from there. And thank you to Vince, who's going to be driving me around. I'm happy to share the driving, at least one hand. Will be. We're very happy to be involved, and thank you very much for your time and effort. So we'll Echuca for the big My Place camp out this weekend, and then down to Pinnaroo, or over to Pinnaroo, not down, over to Pinnaroo for a night there at the Pinnaroo pub, and then down to Mount Gambier, where we're catching up with everybody December 6, 7 and 8 for that great event, the 832 event down there with Brett Kimara and co. Some really great speakers lined up for that one too, including a couple coming out of Adelaide. One of them is an old grey-bearded fella you might recognise. Not this one, a different grey-bearded fella called Tim Dwyer. So looking forward to catching up with him. Anyway, let's keep going. Crypto. Why would see now? I'm nervous about all this. So if I was in their position, I would be taking at least half of the win, let's say the crypto win, and ploughing that into gold or silver. And hedging my bets, because if the bull market is going to grow, and I'm not greedy, I'd be happy to grow with, whatever, $15,000 left in the crypto account to keep doing its brilliance, as you say, over the next 12 months. But at least I've covered and made 100% on what I invested at the beginning, and it's turned into something that's hard and sitting in either in their vault or in my own.
Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22 on just how risk averse you are. Personally, I would probably let it grow a little bit more. But let's say I had invested 15,000 and it was now sitting at 27. Just to be a little bit on the safe side, I might take 3 or 4 of that out and store it, because you're running on profit there still. And you still got 21 that's invested in the crypto. So, it's where a smart person will take profit along the way. Let's put it that way. Right? So as it grows, well, I've made nearly 70%. Let's take 30% of that and store it in something different.
Yeah.
Right? And suggestion would be gold and silver.
Yeah.
Right. And then let the rest grow. And then if it grows again to another, grows another few $1,000s, take some of that, store it, gold and silver, because that's the more stable of it. The crypto market's great when it's running in a bull run. It's fantastic. But then every gain that you've made, you can effectively lose once it comes out of the bull run.
Yeah.
All right. Although
the same happens with gold and silver. A couple of, over the last month, it's been up to over $4,200 an ounce, and now it's back down to a bit over $4,000 an ounce. So,
but
the trend is always up.
Is not, it's the trend's always up in that. The movement in crypto is a little bit different. Like in a bull run situation, it may make beautiful highs, $250,000, right? And then when it teeters off, let's just choose Bitcoin, for example. When it goes back down after the bull run, it will drop by 70%. It's still going to be higher than what it was 3 years ago, but it's going to be a lot lower than 250,000. It might go back down to a base of 70 or 80,000 as a coin, which is the time you would start buying it again for the next bull run, if it's going to be one.
So last time this happened, 6 months ago, when it dropped, I think it went down to 42,000 or something like that. And then it jumped again, it came up. But it even this time, this last drop, it went down to like 50,000. So its trend is still on the way up as well.
Yeah, exactly. So each time that it does what's called the market dip, it might drop by 10 or 20%, right? But when it gets to the end of the bull market, it'll drop by 70%. Does that make sense? Right.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to have some rises and some dips no matter what over the next 12 months or so, right?
Yeah.
But it will eventually do a full-on dip back down to low figures where it becomes, nice to buy again.
And because just because we're talking about a Bitcoin that is, $100,000 doesn't mean you're buying a whole coin. You can buy a 15th of a bee's wing.
Yeah, which is what I've got.
So you can buy, literally points of cents worth of a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And as it grows, so too does your return. I have a friend, God bless her, in Cuba Pedy, who tried to get me into Bitcoin in the late 90s, late 90s it would have been, and actually paid for me to have an account. She used to get on and trade all that, and I looked at it. She'd show me these figures on a spreadsheet, which made my eyes go, oh yeah. Didn't work at all well, and most of those figures had 0 decimal point, a lot of other zeros, and then 5.2 or 2.3 or 1. and that's a 15th of a bee's dick of a wing's whatever. It's less than a 15th, and I couldn't see the future in something like that. And she lost, I'm going to say a lot of money in the early days, but she lost money trying to grow these things. And from a lot of them looked to me like scams, which I think some of them eventually turned out to be.
Yep.
However, as she said to me over the weekend, if people had have listened to what I was telling them back then, they would be millionaires now.
Yeah, some of
And I
them,
said,
yes.
Some of them. And I said, well, are you a millionaire now, knowing that she's not? And she said, no, but I've been able to live very comfortably, buy a house, and live my life. She doesn't live high on the hog or anything like that. Doesn't drive a flash new car or anything like that, but she is able to earn a living off her crypto, off her trading, and now is getting into it more and more and spends a lot of time in front of the computer as a crypto trader. So, I mean, that's a whole other level that, makes me go to sleep just that little bit faster. But I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just it has a hypnotic effect on.
Yeah. No, I understand. Well, if I wasn't so tied up with the freedom movement and FBN and my place, etc., I would be doing the same thing that she is doing, trading, right? Because over the last 7 years, gained some experience in it. It's important, though, with crypto, though, you have to understand that there are certain weird madhouse people that will do stupid things. Like there's a couple of themes that are happening throughout the market at the moment. One of them's called memes. Another one's called AI, right? So a meme is basically a coin that is developed by somebody. It could be Pepe. We all see Pepe around on our little ads. It could be a banana comedian, for instance, or so on. And if you can guess one of these memes right, and there's plenty of them come out all the time, and a lot of them are a rug pull, which means basically they'll take off, they'll make money, and then they'll disappear, right? And anybody who's left holding those tokens are left holding nothing. That's how you lose money, right? But some of them will take off to an extent. There's one guy who invested $17 in a meme, and it took off. And about 2 weeks later, when the meme took off, he had $2.2 million worth of coins out of that meme. Now, if he was smart, he would have slowly sold those off. I mean, dump all of that in one hit. It's not going to do great for the market for that particular meme, but it gives you an idea. So if you're looking to invest in crypto, though, I would suggest that you make sure that what you're picking out of all of the thousands upon thousands of coins, let me actually see if I can tell you how many coins. At the moment, CoinGecko has 15,587 separate cryptocurrencies on their marketplace. All right, so you have to be really careful on what you choose. But if you're looking for a more stable investment, coins that are in the top 100 would be where I would be aiming. So that is things like XRP, Cardano, Stellar, Pepe, Uniswap, Internet Computer, those sort of things. But also be aware that, and you and I have disagreements on this, right? QSI has some good ideas with the Stellar and the other main coin that's on the Stellar chain, but they've got lots of other investments that supposedly are going to have assets come into it later, courtesy of the white hat. I don't believe any of that stuff, and I think investing in those is a 95% risk factor of losing. Stellar itself and XDC, the two cryptos that run on the Stellar chain, good. They're in the top 100. They're a stable coin. So you can't lose if you go in that area, right? But that's just what I want to say. So careful investment, stable-ish type coins. If you want, use 10% of your spendable money that you're prepared to lose and throw it on a meme coin you think might be good. And you just might be lucky enough to strike rich. Might be. Mind you, I've not managed to hit one yet. Okay. So
yeah, I know that friend of mine. I know that friend of mine plays in that meme market a bit, and seems to believe that there's quite a future in it. So, once again, I'm unsure how someone makes money. And Pepe was an Australian creation, so somebody here is making a lot of money out of that. But how do they make money out of that?
It's all on the trade. The one thing about Pepe is that it has a meme following. There's lots of memes being made with the Pepe character, etc. So it's sort of a marketable meme. It's being used all over the world to just bring out the ridiculous that we do as a meme, because, you know, censorship that they were trying to import, memes would have been our only way out of it. But still, a lot of the other cryptos, though, have valid projects behind them, like banking type situations, or that they're building AI type software, or intercontinental transport, or asset tokening property and cars and whatever, so that it's all registered. You know, insurances is another thing. So there's lots of valid uses of the block, but there's also the superfluous that's just, well, you know, speculative, like a horse race.
Explain to me what the difference is between you speculating on a meme and somebody in the QSI system speculating on one of the things that get periodically sent.
Yeah, zero.
What? Zero difference.
Pretty much. Both have no substance. Whether it takes off or not is another question. There are some memes that have substance, but there's a lot that don't. Like there's a Triple Carson meme, and they're building a network of little short shows, so they could sell those shows. So it means it's got substance. But there's other memes out there that, you know, like I told you one, We Love Tits. Right, there's a meme out there that's taking off now.
Hi, Beck. Beck Freedom. Oh, shit, that's a bad link. Sorry.
Right.
I just saw it pop up in the chat.
Just after I said what I said. Sorry, Beck, nothing personal.
Sorry, Beck. It had nothing to do with you. I apologize profusely. I'm very red. I'm embarrassed. I'm going to shut up. I'll show you my broken wrist. There you go.
You're not wearing your cast.
I just took it off because it was itching the crap out of me. So
it still looks pretty swollen.
I can show you how the whole thing. Oh, maybe I can't with this.
No,
I can show
you
you
did
how
that
the
demo
whole thing
the
sort
other
of
night.
works. But yeah, it was itching. So I took it off, and I'm about to apply some Comfrey to it. So
yeah, it still looks fairly swollen.
I just took off 2 X39 patches that have been on for the last basically 24 hours. So the Comfrey is done by the drop. I don't know that you can see. And I'm putting it in just a couple of places on me. And give that. I've learned to screw the top back on the bottle before going and rubbing my hand. So, and then just rubbing it in. I'm doing physio in that I can now close my fist. Spreading my hand out is not as easy. And I have, you know, I'm trying not to. And you know, the plastic or the rubber ball idea where you squeeze.
Yep. And he's dropped out for a fraction of a second there. So I'll just wait for him to come back. Guys, we're going to try and broadcast from the Vic campout, but that may not actually be fully possible because it's going to be limited. We're still working on whether we can get the Starlink there or not. Now you've arrived back, you can carry on.
I have. So I have my plastic bag ball in my hand, and I have not enough strength to squash that in any way, shape, or form in my hand. But I can feel it all the way down the back here and into my wrist. Funnily enough, in my wrist, I'm not feeling it at all. But this hand, I can squish the thing quite happily. But so yeah, no strength. So a lot of physio and trying to move my wrist 90 degrees. That's as far as I can move it. Well, and that's about as far as I can push it back. So
Yeah, don't push it.
no. And that's why
talking from
today,
the guy who's broken both twice, that one
Oh.
once and this one twice, right? Don't. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank God
Anyway,
Beck got the joke. Thanks, Dallin. Sorry about that.
No, I noticed she's laughing. I saw that. That was great. So, getting quickly back to crypto before we probably change subjects, right? Look for the dips. If you're planning to buy, look for the dips, all right? It will continue to rise, and a lot of cryptocurrencies will rise with it. That's like I'm saying, like XRP or Stellar or Uniswap, Casper, etc. A lot of the earlier coins like Doge, which is Department of for the American, which also seems to be the codes take. That's a very old meme coin, one of the most stable meme coins. It's jumped up quite significantly in price. So if you had Doge from a while back at 10 cents, which is now running at 40 cents American, you're up by 300%.
Yeah.
So, all right. But be very cautious. Don't just, if you're going to invest, do a percentage of your investment in stable. So low risk coins, a percentage in medium risk coins, and another smaller percentage in high risk, and then an even smaller percentage in very high risk coins. Right, that's your gambling money. Be prepared to lose it, is what I'm saying.
You just had a ghost walk past you.
Sorry?
You just had a ghost walk past you in the background.
Yeah, no, that was a housemate that's staying here. She needed a place to stay, so I set her up with a room.
Aren't you a wonderful man?
Well, it helps with the finances too. So
yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything further you wanted to cover on crypto? Because I know there's quite a lot you want to cover on the Social Security bill that's coming forward.
Yeah, the 16 and under bill bullshit, right?
So
I'm fine for crypto at the moment. I can talk about crypto.
Withdrawn. We don't have to worry about the vote in the Senate about that any further. It won't go or won't progress. And that's because I believe they've figured out they're going to be able to achieve that same goal. As I pointed out to you a week or so ago in one of the chats that we had, that this social media bill is going to achieve all of the mis and disinformation bill goals. It's just going to allow our generation to die out with what we know, but the new generations of kids coming through are going to be fully brainwashed before they get to 16. And then when they are exposed to the flood of whatever social media will be at that time, because if there's no children on it, it'll become a lot more adult as well. I don't know. I don't mean X-rated, but I just mean the content will become a lot more adult. Then otherwise, if it's not going to, because there are so many kids now who can drive at 16 in different parts of the world, all that, the only thing they can't do is vote or drink beer in many cases in America. But up until they're 21, I mean, but in most other places it's 18, you're considered an adult. Well, what's that last 2 years going to do? That 16 to 18 year gap, that is going to be such a huge shock for kids coming out of a no social media atmosphere into all of a sudden the World Wide Web unleashed on them with whatever safeguards are supposedly going to be put in by the big carriers. they're not going to push. There'll be no pushback. People like us will get laughed down by the young, and they will live longer than we do. Natural attrition will make sure that the social media brainwashing extends, because it won't. The brainwashing doesn't end at 16. They don't automatically grow an adult brain and start saying, "Oh, that was all bullshit." They're going to live and form their lives based on those first 16 years of education and what they've been told. And then they'll come out to universities who are still telling them, brainwashing them, and yet they'll be open for the first time to social media and shows like this and others that are a lot more vocal, a lot more outrageous, and doesn't mean that they're telling any less truths. It's a different way, and the truth they are telling, what they are telling, will be the things that these kids have been educated against in the first 16 years of their life. Oh, when you get to 17 or 16, you'll be able to access social media. These are the sorts of things you're going to come up against. This is mis and disinformation. You know, that's how it'll be taught in the schools. So you made a submission on behalf of all of us, because there was only 2 days to actually make a submission against this social media bill, which Peter Dutton wholeheartedly supports, the Nationals wholeheartedly support, and of course the Labor Party, who are undergoing a few problems at the moment with the Deputy Prime Minister, Richard Marles, Chief of Staff, suing the Chief of Staff of the Prime Minister and the government in general for bullying. Not necessarily a great look when a lady is suing 3 blokes or 2 blokes in a government for bullying.
Sounds like biblical politics.
Well, yeah, she didn't want to play the game somewhere, and they took her out of the role. Mind you, she's still being paid for it. She hasn't been to work in 200 days, but she's still being paid the commensurate rate for Chief of Staff work. And, you know, all power to her. Good luck to her. But, you know, she wants to bring this to an end and find out why she can't go back to work and all the other bits and pieces. Sue away. They're the most corrupt bunch of individuals I think have ever been fortunate to find themselves in power. So bring them to a court. Absolutely. Bring them to a court. I'd like to bring them to a different court, one that had a rope potentially at the end of it. But that is how it is. So tell us about your submission.
Okay. Well, basically it's the Online Safety Amendment Social Media Age Bill 2024 provision. The government is putting it in there, and I've got lots of things to say about it, but they basically gave the people only 2 days to respond, the 21st and the 22nd. So there was little chance of getting news out about it. Secondly, they rammed it through the Senate as well, right, and in discussions. So there's been no real full-on discussion about this. Yep. But effectively, the idea is that they stop, or they get social media sites like YouTube, Facebook, etc., to stop young people at the age of 16 or below or the age under 16 from accessing these particular sites. Now, I have a couple of issues with that. The very first one, and what I pointed out, was that what the hell is the government trying to do in fathering my family?
Yep.
I'm the father, not them, right? They are people that are called, basically, we put them in there to look after us. So they work for us, not the other way around, right? They are representatives, not the parent of the family. So you do what we tell you, not the opposite way around. So that's one thing. So that part gets to me, you know, stay out of family business. It's not where you need to be. Right? Yep. You can't even run a government properly, let alone try and run my family. For those who don't know, I have 6 kids, right? And fortunately, the oldest one now is 17, so he wouldn't even be affected by this bill. But for the last 4 years, he's been getting right into physics and quantum mechanics and quantum theory. Where do you think he learnt a lot of that stuff from? YouTube.
Social media.
Yeah, YouTube, right? A lot of YouTube, a bit of Wikipedia, a lot of scientific papers, etc. So I raised the point, you would have he would have lost his ability to follow his passion when he was 13 years old because of this bill. Might have been much, much harder. Secondly, if you're going to take out YouTube, are you going to take out Wikipedia, which they would still be able to access? Now, we know Wikipedia is not always correct because it's written by just general people of the public. So a lot of the information on Wikipedia is not necessarily correct either.
Yeah, if you have an organised group to hit Wikipedia, you can change anybody's entry to anything you really like.
Yeah. Well, it's very much they call my place a cult. Good on them. Right? That's on Wikipedia. We know that's all false. Just letting you know, Wikipedia writer, you don't write on what you don't know about. But anyway, that's one part. Second, this is a backdoor piece of legislation. It's all about training the people at a young age to believe what the government says.
Yeah.
Right. So it's about stopping them from being able to do that and taking them offline. Not saying that there shouldn't be some restrictions in social media, right? But I think that needs to be restricted by the parents, not by the social media companies. Obvious things like beheadings and stuff, that all needs to be really carefully censored. Right?
But what about messaging? What about bullying and messaging in chats and that sort of thing, where kids, I personally know of one as young as 8, but I'm sure they're probably younger, that have committed suicide over the bullying that they get from school that transfers home
to social media.
And pervades every level of their life. And then they get outed. There's some sort of picture or some sort of photoshopped picture that gets put up on social media that, leaves a kid in a state of affairs that, eventually has them hang themselves, let's say. At the moment, there are no consequences for those children that put up those sorts of encouragements. Could we, and that comes from bad parenting, or it comes from, I don't know, just being a psychopath or whatever, that you would encourage somebody to do that sort of thing just to see if you can. It's a power trip. And I know kids say things, always have. Kids say things, toughen up, princess. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is an attitude that I think all of us grew up with. Some of us may not have functioned toward it terribly well because some of us were interested in the sticks and stones as well. But today, kids don't seem to have any respect for history, any respect for their elders, and very little self-respect. They present themselves however they want to present, and if you don't like it, bad luck. So how do we...
No, that's not quite the way it works. It's
well,
if you don't like it, you will respect my position anyway, is really where it's at.
So social media now say, well, you can report a bully. Here's a comment. That's a bad thing. Is that enough? Because we've known that the fact checkers and whatever else they want to call themselves that look into those have been controlled for a very long time. What other punishment? What other consequence? Because this is I think, a large symptom of our society. There are no consequences now for the decisions, particularly our young people make, unless those decisions have dire consequences. Where you kill someone, you wind up in jail because getting in the car drunk at 16 and stealing a car and crashing into another one and killing somebody wasn't such a bright idea. There has to be consequences for hate speech, inciting people to kill themselves. There are actually laws against that. So why
Yes.
aren't these people, these kids, they're only kids? Well, there needs to be consequences. They need to take responsibility for what they say, what they type, and what they do.
True.
Would that help?
But how do you implement that? Is that the government's job or not? No, it's not. That's
No.
if they break laws of the country, then yes, they need to be responsible. As far as bullying is concerned, right? A lot of people, a lot of young people, because they run on emotions, it hurts a lot, right? But it's also a teaching experience. I was bullied all the way through primary, all the way through high school, right? Which is why nobody can bully me now, because it's water off the duck's back. I learned how to handle it. So that is something that has to be taught, and that's something that parents need to handle. Can we do something about the bullying online on cyber? Yes, they can be reported to the point where their account gets removed. Right, so that's part one. That'll take away. It's very hard to bully somebody if you can't sign into the account. So there could be some stuff done on the platform. It could also be that the parents get notified of it. All right, that's fine as well. But the government shouldn't be in there trying to do that.
No, that would be a platform by platform thing. I think that would have to
Situation.
be
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, on Unity Hub, we have it set up very simply on Unity Hub. If somebody wants to report a bad post, they report a bad post. 5 people report the same post, it's automatically killed until we can look at it. Right? Because we have 5 independent people reporting the post. Now, that means that it's more work for the social people who are looking after the platform, etc., which is great because it gives somebody a job. Okay. But
could this also, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that it's a parent situation. So really, if the government wants to do something about social media, underage student bullying, etc., and I feel sorry for all those people who have been bullied and who have got to the point of taking their lives. That just means they needed better personal communication with their parents or families or sister or brother or whatever. Right? Because obviously they weren't coping with it. And as for the bullies, I think they need to be punished as well.
The school wasn't doing enough about it, if anything, because I've had, I don't know how many people report to me that, the schools have been made aware of the bullying, and the schools know and have seen it. They've taken certain actions but then it's, we can't really do any more than that. Well, you can kick a kid out. And I realize that doesn't fix the problem; it just shifts it. But
shifts it back home where it should be. So it's up to now. Are the parents doing their job properly? Well, each parent has their own way of parenting, so it's that's not something you can force down anybody's throat anyway.
Do you find it a little bit interesting that there's 3 big bills in front of us. The Electoral Reform Act is another one they want to try and ram through on us before they rise for the summer.
I'm not even going that one.
But these are bills, I think, in some way designed to wake everybody up to the kind of bastardry that the government would perpetrate against the people.
Only those who are awake. The sleepers are not even going to see it. They think it's good because it's all about protecting the children. That's just a crock. It's just a heap of shit. For starters, let alone the fact that they're going to put this through and they're going to be training these kids about what they can and cannot access and what is truth and what is not truth. The second part about it is that every person that gets onto a computer has to identify who the hell they are to prove they're not 16 or below.
Yeah. So it's just digital ID in a different form.
Yeah, well, no, they'll probably want your digital ID, but it's not mandated. It's voluntary. Really? Well, I don't want to give it. Well, then you can't access this website. Pardon? I'm over 16. Prove it. That's where they're heading with this, right? So it's a whole new way of tracking. Now, on the technical side, I have a whole heap of other questions, right? For those who don't know, I've been in IT for over 30 years, right? I'm a programmer. I'm a network engineer, so I know both sides of the fence in that area. So I have to ask this question. How are they going to monitor you? How are they going to prove that somebody's sitting? I'll give you a really simple example. Let's say that they get this bill through and you have to be over 16 to access a Facebook site. So I sign into my computer and want to access the web. So I have to sign into the web with my ID to prove who I am. All right, yeah, 62-year-old male sitting at the desk wanting to access. I step out of the seat, my son of 12 steps in the seat. How do they know that he's on the computer? I signed in with my ID. I signed in with my whatever to the web. So they're going to go, well, we can't. So we're going to have to do some other stuff. Now, this other stuff might include, we will have a program that will actually turn on your camera and take a snapshot of who's sitting in the chair every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? Or we'll have another program in there that basically starts monitoring your keyboard strokes and your mouse movements, and then uses AI to determine if that fits your profile or somebody else's profile. So it's specifying someone else's there. Or maybe they'll turn on the microphone so that they can hear who's actually speaking in front of the computer. Right? Now, all of those three alone, just those, and I have a section of 11 on it, including packet monitoring, decryption, and everything, which is I specified in this thing that I sent. All right? All of those is invasion of privacy, right? It goes into extortion. It goes into so many bits and pieces, breaking the Telecommunications Act, etc., and so on. But that's the only way they can do it, without actually getting a warrant from a judge to say, we need to monitor this person because we believe they're posting on Facebook and they're underage. All right? But how are they going to collect the evidence to go to the court and ask the question? We want a warrant because we believe this IP address is got a youth that's posting on Facebook underage. Or, question, how do you know that? Well, a phone device from within the house, MAC address, blah, 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 right, was seen posting to Facebook.
Yeah.
Who owns the phone? Oh, well, the father. Why? Because the 12-year-old son can't even own the phone and sign it up for an account because he's not old enough by law. Okay, so it starts getting into this ridiculous. They'll spend millions upon millions of dollars to find all these little secret ways, like using Copilot, which is going to a Microsoft program, is going to take snapshots of your screen. They'll start saying, oh, that's only stored locally, until they start moving it up to the web and give access to the governments. Right? So they're going to spend all these millions of dollars. And then you want to spend those millions and billions of dollars, then do it on an education program for the parents. Hey, parents, we know you're not real tech smart, so here's some ways that you can protect your children on. Right? There's this program that you can do. You can add this program to the phone that will block certain websites. You can da-da-da-da-da. That sort of education is the better option than this bullshit. Ram it through. We want to monitor everybody, which is what this friggin' piece of legislation allows. Because the minute you have to sign on and prove who you are, they're monitoring you. Period. All right? So, ridiculous piece of legislation. Let's put up the misinformation bill and let this one slide through, which is going to give us everything we want anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So, sorry, I get fairly pissed off with it.
They're going to use a lot of Chinese technology behind all this too.
Sorry?
Crunch is saying they're going to use a lot of Chinese technology behind all this too, which is oh so safe.
Oh, yeah, totally, 100%.
So where do we sit on the world going to nuclear war?
God, I hope not.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen.
I think Putin's smart enough to wait for Trump to get in, to be honest, before they go that. So,
I'm just looking at one of the mainstream media sites at the moment. There's a headline there about Putin. Let me go back to it. Putin's nightmare is coming true. Proof Putin's nightmare is coming true. It's become clear that a peace deal would be in the interests of Russia as much as Ukraine. Oh, really? It's Russia who've been suing for peace this whole time. They've just wanted to clean up, a certain amount of biolabs that were working to, kill Russians and the rest of the world, and keep the Donetsk region, which, well, all of Ukraine has always been Russian. Go back and watch the Tucker Carlson interview that he did with Vladimir Putin, and the first 38 minutes of it is a history lesson that explains why Ukraine has always been part of Russia. And history, believe it or not, does play a bit of a role in all of this when it comes down to prior ownership. So it's what, and I'm finding now that the rules that are being broken, the laws that are being pushed, and the silence coming from Donald Trump about it is concerning. So we saw last week.
Do much about it.
Well, absolutely. He can.
Say
They're in a transition period.
He can make
so the government is
transition.
Yeah. The government is transitioning. That means that long-term decisions are generally made. Yes, Biden can overrule and do all that, but Trump and his team could also be putting up enough objections so that this doesn't happen immediately. Like the weapons aren't going to be shipped in the next week or two. I'm not hearing any of that.
The weapons are already over there, Carl. Well,
some
are
already
over there. They've already been used, and by supposedly
Biden. Yeah. So when you know that, I can tell you that there are 3 ATACMS systems in the region. All right, each of them capable, I think, of firing 4 rockets, and they've already been used, and there's no replacement rockets. So the rest of the stuff, and that's why the British got involved with their rockets over the weekend. But the only rockets anybody should be interested in are the ones that Russia shot, the intermediate range ballistic missiles. And it's not so much the fact that they fired up these intermediate range ballistic missiles, non-nuclear tipped. And despite the world thinking that there is, and being told by mainstream media, there now is no red phone access between the Kremlin and the White House. So, we're going to fire a nuke at you. And in that case, an intercontinental ballistic missile take about 30 minutes from Russia to hit continental USA. There is no red phone access anymore. However, there is a nuclear protocol, and that was used. The Americans were aware that an intermediate range missile test was going to happen. What the Americans were not aware of is that it was not a test, it was a demonstration. And if you have seen the vision of it, I don't have it, unfortunately, but I have seen the vision where there are 16 warheads come out of this one missile, and all of those warheads are hypersonic. So, and they are just inertia weapons, but they are pinpoint accuracy and traveling at 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers an hour as they come down. You've got no hope of stopping them. And what was thought about Russia's hypersonic missiles is that they weren't terribly accurate. Well, that might be the ones that's launched off the plane, but the ones that seem to be raining down from above that are land launched seem to be unbelievably accurate, because they actually shot around the edge of a town without hurting the town. They shot into bushland or whatever on the outskirts of town with pinpoint accuracy. Now, if they start tipping those with nuclear weapons, that's a real problem. And Russia have now shown their hand that they have walked away from the intermediate ballistic missile treaty that was signed with America some years ago. Europe is terrified of Russia having these intermediate ballistic missiles, because a nuclear weapon could be delivered from Russia to any capital city in Europe within 8 minutes. So that's why these were originally banned. or a treaty was introduced to not have them, and particularly not have the Russians have them, because they ostensibly threatened every country in Europe with them. Just the fact that Russia wasn't threatening anyone, just the fact that they had them and had that ability to hold over them was enough. So that's where that treaty came into being. But clearly the Russians have been working on the technology, or they're just using the old rockets and putting the new warheads on there. But it was a very powerful demonstration to NATO in particular. And be under no doubt here, America has supplied the ATACMS systems. The British have supplied, I think it's the Sabre systems, or Tomahawk. No, not Tomahawks. And the French have supplied another missile system. What they're not doing is supplying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of missiles. And that's where I think the slowdown will come. They can fire, basically one battery each, and everything's gone. But if they, as is, I heard today, Joe Biden has okayed the launch of, or the shipping of, something similar to the intermediate continental ballistic missile that Russia demonstrated over the weekend. If they are shipped to Ukraine, then we're going to see real problems if some mad people get in control and start firing those deep into Russia. At the moment, missile systems launched out of Ukraine into Russia have a length of less than 200 kilometers, have a accuracy distance of less than 200 kilometers. They're nowhere near Moscow. They're not threatening Moscow. But if these new American missiles are actually shipped and put into country, then yes, they will very definitely be able to threaten every part of Russia, including Moscow. So I don't think Putin will ever allow that to happen. But remember, Q always said, Israel be last, the world will be pushed to the brink of nuclear war. The world needs to think there will be a nuclear war. And I'm looking forward to the day that somebody fires off a nuclear weapon and expects it to go off, and we just might be proved right that there isn't a working nuke on the world because of alien involvement. That's the other side of the story. So
that's the one where you consider the ship when they come and abduct you as no longer abduction but a rescue.
Well, yes, I guess that would depend on whether the alien presented with an anal probe or not.
There's a Crunch just put up an interesting there you might want to throw up as well. Well, yeah, my opinion on all of that, Biden's not leading this campaign, right? This is being done by the deep state government in America because Biden was last spotted in Amazon, I believe, somewhere. That's why there's no red phone. Very hard to get one in the jungle. But the other thing is that NATO is supposed to be a peacekeeping force. So start doing what you're friggin' told and be peacekeepers, not fighting a war, which is what they're doing subversely. So,
well, they're trying to provoke Russia into doing something that can draw NATO officially into the fight.
Yeah,
and
it's not like we can't all see it.
Yeah,
it's not like we can't all see it, right? But still, until Trump gets into power, and no matter what even as in the interim, I know that there's a Senate inquiry into the communications relating the last set of missiles that went across that Biden gave permission for, where they're actually looking at even maybe what's the word they use when they pull the president into the
impeachment.
That's the one where they're looking at they might have to impeach Joe Biden. Great, then we get Kamala.
Yeah, God, yeah, God help us with that. All right, gonna have to love you and leave you because my battery's gone flat. I had a semi-trailer load of turf arrive at 6:15 this morning. I had 4 minutes notice that it was arriving. And trust me, getting the semi-trailer down to where the grass had to go was one of those interesting starts to the day without a coffee. So started with that. I wound up laying turf today. I was a one-armed turf layer.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't lay any turf. I squirted the hose and made sure that the ground was good, prepared for those that were laying the turf, and did a whole heap of other stuff that a one-armed man can do. But there is a lot going on around the property at the moment, and I've got to get it sorted before I can get on the big silver bird with no propellers on Wednesday and make my way down to you, mate, as we head off towards the My Place camp out this weekend around Echuca, and then back down through Pinaroo. Now, December 3, we're at the Pinaroo Hotel. So if you want to come in and have a bit of a chat, have a meal, we'll probably have a camera or two going. I know Pete from Pinaroo will probably have his entire coin collection there for us to see. And if he hasn't brought his coin collection, I'm hoping he might bring his car collection. He's got a couple of interesting cars. So we'll see what comes out of that. But I'm looking forward to catching up with the people around Pinaroo. And then back down to Mount Gambier. Sarah and the team are working feverishly down there at the moment to get the event happening. And there is a big thing happening on the Friday at a wonderful cafe. And we're thinking Vince will live stream that. It's going to be a six-way sort of conversation, a discussion, if you will. And looking forward to seeing what we can do with that. And ladies and gentlemen, Vince will be in charge of the button pushing for much of these sorts of shows. So he's going to be a television man by the time we're done with him.
Expect all of that to be really a schmozzle. So I apologise up front. So
no, mate, you'll be right. As long as we get the audio. As long as we get the audio right, we'll be fine.
Yeah. For anybody who's interested, I will put my 2-page submission up on the front of VOF HQ if you want to have a bit of a read. So
and for those that are asking me why that video isn't up on the front page yet, it's because we are having trouble with the Contrib website, and Vince is working on fixing it.
Yeah, so, we shifted it and it doesn't want to contribute anymore. So, and I haven't been able to figure out why. So that's my fault, people.
Oh, look, double-handed wave. Keep it going. See you, buddy. Thanks for your help tonight. Really appreciate it. And we'll see him on Wednesday, face-to-face. No doubt there'll be a live from the car as we're departing Adelaide Airport. Have yourself a great night, folks. We'll chat again tomorrow. Be safe on the roads. The dickheads are out there. I fully expect to see quite a lot of them on the road around Adelaide, if memory serves.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Oh,